On today's episode of the Real Recovery Podcast, episode number 66, we are honored to welcome Dontae Mathis for part one of a powerful two-part conversation. Dontae shares his journey of survival and struggle, from being shot at 16 to navigating years of addiction and incarceration. In this first part, he reflects on the trauma that shaped his early path and the life-changing moment that led him into a correctional boot camp program within the prison system. It's an honest and gripping look at what it means to hit bottom and begin the climb towards something better.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Recovery Podcast. I'm Julie, your co-host. On this journey of healing and transformation, together with my co-host Peter, we dive into the heart of recovery, sharing stories that resonate with courage and inspiration.
That's right, Julie. Each episode is a new chapter in this vast narrative of recovery, and we're honored to bring them to you. But keep in mind, the perspectives you'll hear are for informational purposes only and may not reflect the views of the podcast or our partners.
Indeed, while these conversations can be a powerful part of your recovery toolkit, they are not substitute for professional medical advice. We encourage you to seek guidance from your healthcare provider for any treatment-related decisions.
And if you're facing an immediate crisis, or if you just need to talk to someone who understands, don't hesitate to call the Recovery Crisis Line at 503-223-8569. That number is also on our website. Help is available 24/7.
Now let's begin our episode
of recovery, real recovery.
This is Peter with the Real Recovery Podcast. Welcome.
This is Julie with the guest we have been waiting a long time for.
Yes.
We see him at every event we go to, and last time at Advocacy Day.
Yeah.
So thank you. He had a long drive here. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And this is Dontae.
Yes. Dontae, I am here. I have arrived.
And just don't worry, there's no rules on this podcast.
Okay.
I tend to have a gutter mouth, I swear, a little.
So we can cuss and shit.
We can cuss and shit. We can. My true authentic self comes out, not my professional side. So we're glad to have you. And like I said, there's no rules. We just hear your story, and every story's different. Mm-hmm. So I think recovery is all our thing where we come in the middle.
I can't wait to hear your story and hear about how you came into recovery and how it's become part of your life. But I hope we have time. And if not, I want to have another, I'm going to schedule you in for another one because I want to hear about Harmony Academy.
Okay. Sure. Definitely.
I've heard it through other stories and talking to different people. Of course, we've talked about it at events and stuff off the air. And it just seems like such a wonderful, meaningful, and God, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think it's a foundation to live your life correctly at a young age.
Yeah, it's so effective. I hear so many good, positive things coming from it.
No, it's great. And
I think people are trying to copy you now, though.
They are.
They saw a good thing.
Definitely. And they should, because Sharon Martin has created a great model for what recovery schools look like in the state of Oregon, to be the first that do it in 2019. There's no reason.
And you've been doing it a while.
A very long time. There's no reason to recreate the wheel. So a lot of people, all of the schools that are opening up or attempting to open up have came and copied and pasted the model that has been created from Harmony into what they're trying to do, which
that's a compliment.
It's kudos.
That is a compliment within itself.
I think that's so awesome.
It is.
Are you originally from Portland?
Oh, no, I am. And I don't consider myself an Oregonian.
Me either.
I'm from St. Louis, East St. Louis to be exact.
I just was saying Nellie's going to be here at Alani.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully you're going.
Well, my friend offered me a ticket, so maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, funny thing about Nellie, before I get into my story, but a part of my story is Nellie's mom and my aunt, Nancy, Dorothy, who passed away, it was really my aunt's. It's a sports bar in St. Louis in U City called Mount Olive. And Nellie's mom used to frequent the sports bar. They went to school together. So
Small world.
I had my birthday several years ago and got to hang out with Nellie's mom and her significant other. And it was a fun trip.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And if you're familiar with the Saint Lunatics,
Yes.
Nelly's group,
Absolutely.
I recently released a song with this guy, Murphy Lee, from...
I know who that is.
Yeah, from the Saint Lunatics.
Not like personally, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
The song is called Two Seater. It's on all platforms.
I love it.
Yeah, no cuss words. Some my grandkid, my granddaughter can listen to.
You have grandkids?
I do. I got two. So I got one daughter. My daughter has my granddaughter, Naomi, and my son has my grandson. So
Cross that path.
yeah.
I asked my daughter to have a child and she got a dog.
Yeah.
I asked her again and she got a second dog.
Yeah. Yeah. So my grandson, Jamie. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Definitely. So
That's so
beautiful
funny.
thing.
We were seriously having a whole conversation about Nelly. And
Yeah.
Peter said, quote unquote, do you know who Fish is? And I said, you mean for dinner? And he said, no, the group. And I said, no. And he said, I feel about Nelly like you feel about Fish. So it was good.
You have to tell me about Fish, man. I'm not familiar with
Me either.
Fish.
Never heard of him, never seen him.
They have a following. They're kind of like the Grateful Dead in that they have a following and they have all the psychedelic tie-dye stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm actually really eclectic when it comes to music, and I pretty much can listen to anything and be fine with it.
He plays Janet Jackson for me in his car.
I love Janet
Jackson. You can't go wrong with Janet.
That's where we meet in the middle is Janet. Yeah.
You can't
So
go
it's
wrong
good.
with Janet. Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes.
I guess start with your childhood. I love that you're from there.
Yeah. So
I'm not an Oregonian either.
okay. Don't get me wrong. I love Oregon. And
Me too.
I've been here 30 years off
Me
and
too.
on, but I just haven't considered myself an Oregonian. I love home, but home is an ugly but beautiful place. It's like a third world country. So,
Really?
oh yeah, definitely. There's nobody putting money into it. Like going into my story, growing up in East St. Louis, it was nothing to see addicts. It was nothing to see murder. It was nothing to see gangs. It was like a part of life growing up. And I had older siblings. Me being the baby of the two siblings, I wanted to do what they were doing. Now, mind you, they weren't really involved in substances until later on. My brother more so than my sister. But as the older brother, I wanted to be what he was being and do what he was doing. And
He was cool.
He was cool. I want to hang out with his friends. Currently, I might say my brother is still an alcoholic, even since I'm up there in age. I'm pushing 50. So my brother is 2 years older than me.
I want to be 50.
But considers himself to be a functioning alcoholic because he still goes to work and maintains and whatnot. But
My mom was a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah. It's tough to watch, but what can you tell an adult that's struggling with alcohol addiction? You can't. So you try intervention and whatnot, but it turns into a joke, or it turns into this can't be real, this can't be serious when you got a group of family members.
Unless they ask or want some help, you can't lead a horse to water.
Not at all. St. Louis, East St. Louis to be exact, just started out uncles, alcoholics, a lot of family members. Like I said, I was more in the younger generation, seeing the older family members do things. It was what I wanted to be a part of. Now, mind you, my mom was a Jehovah's Witness. So she was having none of that around the house. And my mom and dad were separated. So when I would go around my dad, I saw alcoholism in both sides of the family. But when I went to more with my dad, there was alcohol or things that I had access to.
Do you think your mom being a Jehovah, that it caused a little bit of rebellion? Like,
most definitely.
Okay, yeah.
The more you try to keep me away from something, the more you tell me something.
I want to do.
Yeah, I want to taste that.
Yeah.
Let me get a taste of that. But it really didn't for me. I'm going to say when we came down to Oregon, I was in the 6th grade. So I came down probably 12, 13 years old.
I came in 9th.
Yeah. So 6th grade. And I would say it wasn't so rocky. It's a new environment. Here, I was a minority. Back home, every teacher was Black. Every neighbor was Black. It was something familiar. So I came, and here it was unfamiliar.
Even though I'm white, I understand.
It was a challenge.
I went from Boston. I went from Boston to Oregon and went from a Catholic school to a public school. I was in culture shock, went from straight-legged jeans, bell bottoms, wanted nothing to do with that. And I talked funny as fuck compared to everyone.
So speaking of, I came down here country as fuck. It was definitely country. So there was that culture shift, right? And for me, again, being a minority, like me and my brother first, so he came into high school and I came into middle school. I mean, I think it was like just even getting enrolled into George Middle School at the time, it was like, I see all these pretty white girls looking at me. Yes, I want to go here. This is my school. Because it was unfamiliar territory and I didn't see that. And I'm
you're
tall.
the cool new kid.
You know what I mean? I'm the cool new kid. And plus, I talked with some country slang. Sometimes the teachers or whoever thought I was joking. So I can never forget my teacher, Miss Williamson, one time in 6th grade, because after a while, it became annoying that the kids are making fun of you and what you say. You say car. You say her. The teacher started realizing like, no, this is not a game. This is who you really are. But I think it was a learning lesson that she wanted to teach the class. This is a part of his culture and where he comes from. So she made me write certain things on the board for the class and like respectfully, like this is a learning lesson. Like I said, the burr, the car, the purr, the her, the there. So and then I think instead of people start really making fun of it, they were like, wait a minute, this dude is like really, he country. And it's just not necessarily country, but we haven't heard it before. So he's unfamiliar, unique. We're unfamiliar. But a little rewind, like I was the cool kid and it went to my head. It went to my head.
Okay.
6th grade, I was dunking. In 6th grade, of course, they wanted me on a basketball team.
I was the only girl in a boys' PE class playing advanced basketball.
For our listeners who can't see you, how tall are you?
I'm 6'7", 270 pounds.
Looking like he came off the court.
Straight up. And still got it. So don't get it wrong. I still got it.
I love it.
That's awesome.
But school, my head got big. My dad used to tell me all the time, boy, they got checks with your name on it. And I never really understood what he meant. I was talented. I was a handsome young fella. I was school motivated. I was ambitious.
The world was yours.
The world was mine. And what he meant was you stay focused. You keep doing what we're asking you to do and taking advantage of the opportunities in front of you. Because I used to call home and tell my dad, man, I'm living the life out here. They got mountains with snow tops and
they got a beach.
What I mean? Palm trees. People got swimming pools. And where I actually learned to play basketball wasn't a crate. You know what I mean? It's like we don't got to play hoop on a crate no more.
Where'd you go to high school?
I never did. Never. The first time I went to a high school was with an athlete, a professional baseball player, and I talked to kids about bullying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let me.
Yeah, because now I'm waiting for you to say you played with.
So 6th grade was lovely. Basketball team, highest scorer on the team. I was doing my things. 7th grade, and this is as far as my substance use. 6th grade, my brother was sophomore in school, and I still wanted to hang with his friends. But again, his friends was like, oh boy, you cold playing that basketball. We come to your games and they see me and you cold. It was a lot of encouragement. When I asked to hit the weed as a 6th grader, they're like, nah, stick with that hoop. You can't fuck with this. Stick with that hoop. Same thing with 7th grade. But now I ain't got to ask my brother to hit the weed. I ain't got to ask his buddies to hit the weed because me and my buddies, we got access. And it's Oregon. Yeah. And Oregon got some of the best green.
Oregon got weed beyond weed, beyond weed.
Beyond weed.
I'm just saying. Every grocery store, every aisle, every corner.
So another thing is one of my best friends, Lebo, his pops used to grow. And it was at the ready. So He used to grow in 6th grade, but we really wasn't focused on that. He was playing baseball. I was playing basketball. He was on my basketball team too, but we really wasn't messing with the weed like that. But 7th grade, it was like, oh man, shoot, we smoking. And
I smoke too.
It was mixed with drinking too, 7th grade, right?
I can roll a blunt better than most.
Yeah, with your eyes closed, right?
Look, in a closet, blindfolded, yeah.
So it became my focus. And slowly but surely, basketball wasn't a priority. This is the end of 7th grade. Basketball wasn't a priority. And I still, at this time, I could start seeing or feeling the physical effects of my agility. My bounce is declining. My focus on dribbling is declining. But again, I still had some people that care, like my mom and my pops. Well, you got checks with your name on it. They start seeing that I start caring more about drugs and alcohol than I did picking up that basketball. Because I used to be outside. So my mama had to tell me to get inside the house and put that basketball up.
That was me.
Just because I knew I was, at that time, 6'2" in the 7th grade. 6th and 7th grade, I was grown. So it's like, I got no choice. People used to tell me, oh, you look like Cliff Robinson, before I knew who Cliff Robinson was. Right? Now that I said it, y'all might be able to see it, right?
Yeah, I can actually. Peter doesn't know who we're talking about. It's all good.
They saw something in me that I did. And it's because my vision was blurred. And I was smoking and drinking and hanging out with friends and some affiliates. So that was my focus. When it came to 8th grade, you couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
So the beginning of my 8th grade year, now I'm skipping school. And I would skip school because now that I'm taller and bigger than my older brother, it came to a point. You can't tell me I can't smoke with you no more. I'm smoking. And you ain't finna whoop my ass. So pass me that blunt. And now it's the people that picked on me when I was a little bit smaller than them. Now I'm bigger than them. And it's not necessarily a bully attitude, but it was, I can hold my own.
Yeah.
I can hold my own. So pass me that 40 just like you got.
Yeah.
And I never did hang out with people my age. It was always older. My sister is older than me and my brother, so she had her and her friends, and their boyfriends would come over because my mom and my stepdad, they was going in and out of town to work. So we had the house to ourselves. So pretty much raising ourselves.
Doing what you want.
We doing what we want. So I got the opportunity to hang with either my sister's boyfriend or her friends, which was much older than me. They saw something in me. Like I could hold my own. And I was this big 15-year-old, 14-year-old that looked like I was 19. So when it got to, we was going to do some dirt or fight somebody or do some dumb shit, I was with it. Oh, I was with it because
they wanted you.
They wanted me. I used my size to the wrong advantage for some dumb shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By that time, 8th grade, drugs and alcohol got the best of me. I'm selling weed. I'm selling joints at school for $1 at George Middle School. I love that place still to this day. But I'm selling. Like I'm one of the main hustlers at the school. And still the teachers didn't kick me out. One, because they never caught me with nothing, but they knew or they felt that they could encourage me to take advantage of my height, my intelligence at the time. You could use this for good. It ain't got to be joints. You could do something else.
You're an entrepreneur at a young age.
At a young age. So much so that by the 8th grade, mid-year 8th grade, I was hustling so much. Like I was the only one out of however many students we had, 300-400 students, that was driving to school. Of course, I was parking my car around the corner, but all my buddies, man, hey, the main crew, don't tell nobody that I got this car. But I bought the car with drug money at 14.
Oh, wow.
At 14.
Yeah.
It was about 5 of us that used to jump in that car every single day. Me first.
Please tell me it wasn't a Regal.
No, it was actually a Delta. It was actually a Delta 88, a white Delta 88. My use, my gang activity, my drug usage had gotten so much so that I was kicked out of the house. And this is at 14, right?
Wow.
So I was on the streets. I was couch surfing, but I was also using drug money to
Pay your way.
Pay my way. If there was like an addict and they had a room, here you go, something so I could stay in here for a couple of days and keep on bringing your friends up because I got it and I'm going to go get it. And this is going to pay my living. And whenever my friends that, from school want to go hang out, I got it. They look to me to supply that drugs and alcohol. And I had easy access to it.
And I imagine for you, it was a real ego boost.
Oh, it was.
You were
had bitches at a young age.
Man, major. Yeah. Still at 14, 15 years old. I'm going to say 14 because this is when, like I said, I was gang involved. So this is what leads up to things. We had a dance, okay? George Middle School, we had a dance. And this guy, and I was the jock of the school, okay? I was the most popular guy. And I felt like this guy was going against the atmosphere that I created for the school.
The code.
He was going against the code. So he wore some colors that I wasn't in agreement with. So my boys came to me and was like, hey, man, we just went and checked so-and-so. And I was like, what's up? He was like, oh, man, he came up here like he was an op. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, he came up here like he was an op. So I went to him, no questions asked, and I start punching on him. Okay. We got suspended. I got suspended from school. He was like the victim. So he was able to return that Monday because it was a Friday dance. So he was able to return that Monday, and I wasn't able to return until we had a meeting, and then Wednesday I can come back to school. I got back to school. Everybody knew I was coming back to school. I got back to school on Wednesday, and I heard I was going to get jumped because he was also affiliated with a gang.
Okay.
I remember a time when literally you had to be careful what you wore.
Yeah.
I remember wearing green.
Yeah.
One, it was Portland State colors, right? And it was neutral.
Yeah.
And if I was going to be over in Northeast Portland or around Kirby and Blandina, because I used to buy weed from Miss Blanche, rest in peace. Seriously. And Andre George, he made it to the professional baseball team. And you did have to choose what you wore so you didn't get in something accidentally.
You definitely got to be mindful. Definitely got to be mindful of that.
Especially a blonde girl with green eyes in a black neighborhood.
You was the minority, right? Yeah, Wednesday I come back to school and everybody's like, oh, man, so-and-so said you about to get your ass whooped. And so I left school and I went to some of my affiliates. Like, hey, man, they talking about jumping me at school. So I left early. Like I told them, like, hey, but tomorrow, which was Thursday, I need y'all to come up to the school. Everybody ready and with it. So
all that in a school.
Middle school. So I called my boy and I'm like, hey, man, did, so-and-so them show up after I left? And he was like, yeah, man, they was up at the school when you left. After you left, they was up here at the end of the school day. And I was like, okay. I went to school that next day. And the guy who I had assaulted wasn't there. So I called off my dogs, right? So me and my boy, Dari, was walking from school that day. And I didn't have no protection. And little Volkswagen minivan pulled up and 2 or 3 guys got out the car. This dude was banging on they was finna jump us. This dude was banging on the big trash can and whatnot. Oh, yeah. So we ran inside. I ain't no fool. You know what I'm saying? So we ran inside the little convenience store right there on Pheasant, right up to George.
I know exactly where you're talking about.
Right there by the park.
Yes.
We ran up in there and we trying to tell people, like, we ain't going outside. They like, nah, get up out of here. We like, nah, we ain't going out outside until the people leave. And the little Asian lady, she go outside. I'm going to call the police. So they outside waiting on us, banging on cars. And it was like a little trash can over there. They just being loud. So one of them come to the door. We hiding behind little aisles and shit. So they leave. I get back to my people. By then, we ain't got no phone, like cell phone. It's only pagers. We ain't got no cell phones or nothing like that. Anyway, long story short, from that incident, the next day I come to school. That same day after we was about to get jumped, I went home, called my people. I got a pistol. Next day I went to school and made sure that my people better be here today, because yesterday I slipped up. It was about lunchtime, and we didn't get out of school till 3-something. But by lunchtime, I see my people outside. It's like it's 5 cars outside of grown ass men.
At a middle school.
At a middle school, waiting on me. So they decided to come early. Now all my friends, all my people see I got some numbers outside. It's about 13 adults outside, 14 adults outside. Rumor has it that my people is outside. So I know as I'm walking around school with this, I want to say a 32 pistol, 32, the heat is on me. So this guy, one of my friends, Matthew Newton, I got to put his name out there because I ain't talked to him in a minute, but we since squashed what has happened, what has transpired. So I say he's a white kid, jock.
The name Matthew Newton.
Matthew. Nobody's going to search him. Nobody's going to mess with him.
Just say it.
Me? Oh, no. Everybody see these people outside, and then the principal come to me like, hey, what's going on? I don't know nothing. I don't know them people outside. I don't know nothing. So I go to Matt just after lunch, or before lunch, actually. It was before lunch because my people was out there before lunch because they thought I was going to be outside for lunch. So they was going to come out and have lunch with me and talk whatever, see what the plan was. So this was all before lunch. And I go to Matt and I say, hey, man, I need you to hold this for me because you ain't going to get searched. And everybody like you and you white. So you ain't finna get searched. So he like, okay, cool. I said, after school, I'm gonna meet you over there by the lockers, by the door, and I'm gonna go out. He was like, oh, cool. So we have lunch, like I'm among my buddies inside the school. We have lunch. And after lunch, one of my good friends, who used to be another person that tell me, I can't wait till you go in the NBA because I'm going to be the biggest cheer on your team. And this is somebody who I used to cheat off her homework. She would hold me accountable to shit like, why are you fucking off? Let's do this work. But really had goal, like she had faith in me that I was going to be the sports person, right? So after lunch, she come to my class, grab me by my shirt and says, come here. And I'm walking with her and we joking down the hallway like, what, girl, what's going on with you? What's up? And she was like, you're in trouble. And I said, what you talking about? She was like, you did not give Matt Newton a fucking gun. And I said, what? She said, yeah, he's showing every fucking body.
Dumbass white boy.
I said, what? He's showing every fucking body. I said, Joanne, you are bullshitting me. She said, no, you better go get it right now. And I said, what do you mean? She was like, you need to come with me. Bell rings, me and Joanne is walking to find Matthew Newton and here go the principal.
Oh, fuck.
Get out of the hallway. She said, go to class. I'm going to see you at the class. I go to my class. I sit down. 2 minutes later, not even 2 minutes later, after I sit down, principal comes to the door, does like this, waves his hand at me, his finger. I come into the hallway. It's a uniformed police with him.
Oh, shit.
I get to the hallway. I get to the principal's office. Matthew Newton sitting down with his head down, shaking his head.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, damn. They take me straight in the office. Principal say, Matt tells us you gave him something to hold. Huh? Matt tells us you gave him something to hold. Officer says, we know it's your gun, Dontae, and we have made the people outside of the school leave the premises. And I said, okay, it's mine. It's my gun. As soon as I said that, they booked me. I went to
Possession
JDH.
of a firearm in a fucking school.
Eighth grade. I went to JDH and for a couple of days,
the one on
weeks.
67th and Halsey.
Yep, yep, right there near off of Gleason and Halsey, Donald E. Long. So I went there. I was kicked out of all Portland public schools. Could not go back to no Portland public school.
Firearm.
So after I got out, my mom was trying to take me every little where to go to figure out school. I went to POIC and I just didn't, I think it was a counselor at the time or whoever was doing my interview, and I didn't like that. So my dad was like,
I would have put your tall ass at Jesuit. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just saying.
But at this time, no, Julie, I'm like, you can't, nobody can tell me nothing.
I'm just telling you, I would have put your tall ass at Jesuit.
Right. My mama didn't even know. It was still a culture shock to her. But had she known about Jesuit, that might have been an option. And at that time, and I wasn't even living with my mama. You know what I'm saying? So I'm already on the streets. This is when I'm on the streets.
Oh,
She's like, oh, you can't be at my house. And my stepdad wasn't having that. So they like, y'all, you got to figure something out. So as I'm couch surfing and selling dope and tried figuring out like who could let me stay there for a $20 rock for a couple of days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My dad has sent his ass here back to St. Louis. At the time, my cousin had signed, Brian Cox Sr., had signed an agreement or signed a contract with the Miami Dolphins. Now, all of my cousins that was penny pinching and doing small time shit, Big Brother gave them a couple of dollars. So now they got money. And the ones that are closer to my age, all we did was buy dope and figure out how to sell it and weed and figure out how to sell it on a larger scale.
Oh my gosh.
So what was supposed to have been a rehabilitation for this division turned into
worse situation almost.
Now was money involved that I really didn't have before. I was penny pinching. But now my big cousin that had nothing to do with the intentions of what Brian really wanted for us, because he opened up a tow yard. We had a tow yard like for the family. This is a family business. I want y'all to get off the streets and you know what I mean? It just didn't work out.
Your entrepreneurial brain went a different way.
It went a different way. But as the young person, I was influenced by my older generation because they was already involved with it. And out there's more stories that go on with that. But my older cousin, not Brian, but his little brother that was closer to my age, just started mismanaging things and start misusing product and ended up having to go to rehab. And
don't get high on your supply.
There you go. You
It'll ruin your business.
And just to no fault of because Brian, he wanted to create an opportunity for us and we fucked it off.
Yeah.
We fucked it off. But the journey of me using and the only things that I've used was weed and alcohol to a point of blacking out, to a point of not knowing where I'm waking up at. And it just got worse, right? It just got worse.
Yeah.
I couldn't wake up without wanting to drink. I couldn't wake up without wanting some weed to smoke. So it was an everyday thing. All after 8th grade and no continuation of high school since then. The life of gang activity, the life of drug use had just continued. Right? Wasn't getting no better whatsoever. By the time I was 16, I had my daughter. So
that's why you have grandchildren so young.
16 years old. I was 16. She was 22. I was loving every minute of it.
Didn't I say something about that? I think I said, I bet, especially with the height.
I was lying about my age. And how she found out that I was 16 years old was we got pulled over. She was 22 years old. White girl.
Dumb white girl.
Very dumb. Very dumb. Smart now, because she left my ass alone. At the time, though, I was manipulative. You know what I'm saying? And I told her.
I was that dumb white girl when it was a gun in the car, so I understand. And didn't know it was there.
And she is so my dad was like doing truck driving. He was stationed in Indiana. So when I went out there with him is when I met her. And then we came back to Portland. And here's the thing, and this, she will tell you, like, I had her doing things she never imagined she was doing. She graduated high school, had a good job, had everything at her feet. I put a baby in her, had her selling drugs, had her traveling with drugs, had her traveling with guns. It wasn't nothing for me to say, hey, this person shorted me $30. Whoop her ass. And this little bitty white girl from Centerville, Indiana would rather whoop her ass or have to deal with me.
Oh,
I understand.
At 16 years old.
Wow.
I was lost.
Yeah.
I was lost. So we got pulled over. Me and my buddies from St. Louis, we was on some gang shit and got pulled over. And they let my buddy and them go, the two of my boys that I was riding with, and it was me and Paige, my kid's mom. And they like, we could arrest you too. Because I was already in the back of the car. For what? No reason. Like, I was driving. That was the only reason why they had me. Because I tried to switch seats. And they was like, we saw you switching seats, or you shouldn't be driving.
You so dumb.
It was one of them.
Yes.
And here go the thing. She pregnant.
Oh, okay.
She pregnant at the time.
See, you dumb, because when the gun got handed to me, I went like this and let it drop and wouldn't bend over because you're not getting my fucking fingerprints on the gun.
So here go the thing, though. The gun was in the back, in the trunk, in a speaker.
Oh, that's
it
good.
was in a speaker. So I knew I shouldn't have been driving in the first place. We riding around smoking and drinking. So I already know, like, one, I'm under the influence. Two, the car smelled like weed, which is
and
probably
three, weed ain't legal at this time.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Not in Illinois. So
not in Portland.
Police had put me in the back of the car because they said, we saw that you was driving first, and all of a sudden you switched with her. I wasn't driving.
Yeah.
And they going to her like, who's driving? And she was like, I was driving. And they started telling her, we're going to take your car. Just giving her all these ultimatums. And she was like, okay, yeah, he was driving. And once I can hear him, this is when the cars got cages on the window. I can hear him say, we could take you to jail for transporting a minor. And she said, what?
Oh, fuck.
He 20. And they like, nah, Dontae Mathis is 16 years old. I could hear her coming over there now and the police trying to stop her from getting to me. She came to the window of the car where I was sitting. I made eye contact and put my head down because she was giving me a new one, calling me every name in the book. And I know if they'd opened the door, I was more scared of her than I was of them. She was going to fuck me up. She was really going to fuck me up.
I would have too.
But that's just a part of that journey that I wasn't focused. Drugs and alcohol had the best of me. And I'm also impacting somebody else's life by my decisions of being a dropout.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
you had that realization that it wasn't just me, but all of a sudden it's whoa.
Yeah. As I sat in juvenile detention for a couple days and got cramps from sitting on the toilet.
Oh, gosh.
First time ever. First time ever. Hey, I was in Illinois Detention Center, Belleville, Illinois, where the police took me. And I'm sitting there for the night. This is the night. First time ever. I had to go use the bathroom. And before you know it, and I'm 16, I ain't did too much fucking between now and then.
Yeah.
Man, I sat on that toilet and went back and put my little comforter over me and thought I was going to sleep. Within 20 minutes, I was banging on the door. I'm itching to what's going on in this one. Hey, so the nurse came and she was like, yeah, you got crabs, or she called them something. And I'm like, I ain't never in my life. Worst experience in my life aside from chicken pox.
I'm a germaphobe. I would have freaked the fuck out.
I am too. I keep disinfecting and hand sanitizer on my desk right now. But so it's just one of the worst experiences, right? Then my dad, like, I ain't coming to get you.
So my mama said.
My mom said, my mom in Oregon. Dad is in 4 or 5 hours away. I ain't coming to get you. Within 72 hours, they got me moved into a foster care facility.
Wow.
Waiting to be placed.
At 16.
At 16. Waiting to be placed.
Like you can be placed at 16 with that history. I feel sorry for the family.
And with the mindset that I got going on, all y'all got to do is let me up out of the locked facility.
How quick were you gone?
You know what I'm saying? And I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Let me out. But it was locked down ever since I got arrested. I had no way out. But now they talking like, since your parents ain't coming to get you, it ain't about my parents don't want me. They love me. They just saying they can't control my behavior. And
shoot, my mama said it the first time I got in trouble. The first time I got in trouble and I called, she said, you got yourself into this mess.
Yeah, get your ass up out there. You can get yourself
out. Now, luckily, I got metriced out quick because I had never been in trouble. She stood firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, fuck that.
And that's really how, rightfully so, my parents was. Like, you gonna learn. I told you had checks with your name and you ain't taking advantage of shit.
Yeah.
Eventually, while I was waiting on like placement, my dad tucked his tail, came and got me. And shit, I didn't want to. My dad hands this size, and he don't mind knocking you the hell out. You say the wrong thing to him.
I was more scared of my mom than the police. Straight up. Yeah.
For real.
Absolutely.
As you should be. I will say, like, everything that they, at that young age, everything that they told me then, I didn't realize I didn't get or observe until I got older.
Absolutely.
And had kids, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how that happens, huh?
Come back tenfold. My dad came back and like tried to figure out school for me. He took me back to Indiana, tried to figure out school for me. I'm like, nah, I got a baby on the way. I got to try to make things right with that. I tried to work, get a job at 16 and hey, I got this kid coming, but I was still involved in drugs. And I had basically an operation going on out there where I was just selling drugs and still kept my connects that I had in St. Louis and different places. So the drug selling didn't stop. And it was, my addiction was probably at its peak. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, drinking and smoking every single day. That was the only thing that was on my mind. Not school, not nothing else. As I fast forward to just the turning point. The turning point for me is like really, I would say not because I got locked up. And I got locked up for possession. And not
possession with distribution?
Both.
Okay. There's a big difference.
But here's the thing. I'm
just being nosy.
I'm transparent. I'm be transparent.
No,
So I used to have a logo on the drugs that I sold. Like on the baggie. Straight dumb shit. I got pulled over and I knew I didn't have nothing because this is a car that I drive my daughter in. By this time, I'm 17. Because my daughter was born. I was working at this Rumpke place. It's a trash company that one of my family members at the job had gotten me like, hey man, you better have some kind of backup for the shit that you're doing.
Right.
Or
some way to prove your income.
Some way to prove. Because they giving people 10 years for $50 rocks. But I was making decent money to where I wasn't even thinking about the risk at 17 years old. Right. I got pulled over. I had a green Impala. And police pulled me over. And I know I ain't got nothing in the car, like I said. But still, no license, I got insurance. All my cars had insurance. But I pulled up to my trap spot where I had my older brother living with, my older stepbrother staying with me. And we had an operation going on. Somebody come to the door, would drop a bucket from the window. They put how much they want. They put the money in the bucket. We pull it up. And to him, it was, hey, they need 50. They need 100. We drop that bucket. They going about their business. No eye contact. Nobody see nobody face. But we knew the police was watching this spot. It's a undercover task officer named Officer Wombly that everybody was familiar with. It was like, and everybody would tell me, man, Officer Wombly watching you. Because they know you coming in and out of town.
That's funny.
With that package. And you ain't nobody seeing you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You ain't on the streets.
Detective Daryl Dick, and that was his real name.
See?
For real.
And I'm sure he was a dick.
He wasn't at first. When I graduated for college, he gave me some money and he said, quit fucking around. Yeah. And he said, if you don't, yeah.
So I was discreet. I wasn't trying to be in the limelight, be caught with shit. So I get pulled over. They all knew I don't got a license. So when they see me driving, it's a wrap. They towing my car. So I know they're going through that process. Police got me, pulled me over in front of my trap, in front of my spot that I was, my trap house. And he got me in the back of the car, says I didn't use my blinker. Okay. All right, whatever. And I don't got a license. So he's going to tow my car. So I'm going to jail for this. Not a blinker, not using my blinker, and my car going to get towed. Okay.
That's some crazy shit.
Ain't that some crazy shit? You can't just let me go.
With a ticket?
With a ticket. He searches my car, got nothing. Goes to his trunk after 20 minutes. First, he gets in the car. So he searches my car, gets in the car, gets on his radio, talk, whatever, goes to his trunk, then goes back to my car and come out with a baggie.
Oh, shit.
Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. Okay? I'm going to tell y'all something, Recovery Podcast. I have been telling this story for the past 30 years. The past 30 years, anybody that I come into contact with in a platform like this is the one time in my life
you was innocent
that I never had drugs on me and had police contact.
And they planted it.
This motherfucker came back with the most racist look in his eyes, showing me that bag like he really had something with less than whatever he had in that bag.
Racial profiling is real too.
Yes,
People who think it's not, almost every time I've ever been pulled over is with a black man in the car. I'm being honest. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. Like I said, and I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Were you like, but it doesn't have my logo on it.
Here's the thing though. And that's dumb. So
I'm dumber.
I'm saying, if you could hear the screams that I'm telling this dude as he act like he going back to get a field kit or something in the back of his car.
To test it.
And I'm saying, man, you know that shit ain't mine.
Yeah.
You know damn well that shit ain't mine. I don't even got baggies like that. He get me to the police station. I'm swearing on everything I love. I know that ain't mine because my bags don't look like that. And right now, as I'm busted, I'm like, you know what? I got a completely different logo than that. I paid the money for the bags. So I know what I use. That would never be in my car, especially not a car.
Which is almost incriminating yourself in a different way, bro.
A real way. But I felt like that was to the extent that I wanted to say anything I could, which was my truth, that this motherfucker just put this on me.
Yeah.
I was willing to incriminate myself. They made my logos. They made my bags. But moving forward, they let me go after a bail. And then later, a few years later, they extradited me and I had to go to a boot camp and whatnot.
I went to boot camp.
All that shit and I had to North Bend.
At Summit boot camp.
At Summit.
I was in the second platoon with Jeff
I was in the 83rd.
Shut the
I was in
fuck
the
up.
83rd platoon.
I went with 86 people and only 24 graduated. And I was one of 2 bitches that graduated.
And check this out. So you have to go, when you go there, you got to tell your story. Tell your,
I got the alcohol and drug award. I went through breaking barriers there through
I did that too.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So
we graduated from prison.
Hey,
and I never had to go back. So I'm so proud of that.
It was a learning experience.
If you can make it through that, it was and you got sent back if a dude talked to you or you tried to. And I would be like, don't talk to me. I didn't fucking come to prison to get a man. Seriously. And then I don't know if you remember, but this was like one of the worst experiences. That pyramid of rocks that was like a learning experience. I got that. And so every night during free time, which you get about 45 minutes. You have to get the bone at the bottom. So it's not just you can move the rocks from here to there. You have to move all the rocks, get the bone, then move the bone, then move the rocks. So my arms are so sore. We're doing 150 push-ups in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
Running up the fucking hill of the thing. And then, when they say dress, right? And the guy goes to dress and put your hand. I said, put your fucking hand on my shoulder or my arm. And I got in trouble for that. But I had, 7 learning experiences, which is a lot. And
it humbles you. They humble you out there.
I don't know. I had D.I. Dickinson, and that motherfucker was a dick for real. But I was the only girl that made the run every day. And so when the 3rd platoon came in, I got to lead physical therapy, and I was like fucking diamond shaped push up. I was just like, and I played ball every weekend on Sunday.
It was definitely an experience. And I'm gonna tell you how
it's so fucking crazy.
Check how mentally fucked up I was though.
You never had no structure.
I didn't.
There's structure.
There's hella structure out there.
There's structure for the rest of your life.
Here's the other part. If you don't go in there and be transparent about
everything,
why you're there and your story, they will kick you out. Like, you ain't learned shit. You need to go back.
Going back and you're doing all your time.
They hold that time over your head.
Look at it. I had 18 months, and the other girl, Rosie Lewis, we're both Lewises. It'd say J. Lewis and R. Lewis. My girl couldn't read. You have to write a resume to get out. I wrote 36 resumes for these people. And they're telling me, you've been to college and whatnot. And then also, I was like, I didn't hurt anybody. And then I had Dr. Yaki or whatever his name was, and he was no joke for the alcohol and treatment. And I have to tell you, structure is, and Rosie had stabbed a bitch because she didn't have her drug money. And she had 58 months to lose to go back. I had 18. And I went to boot camp. I was only in prison for 6 days. I applied the last day that night that you could apply. Ooh.
That structure, though, it definitely teaches you a lot. It teaches you a
structure.
lot. Not me, because sometimes I'm a risk taker. And I felt like going there, and when they give you this structure to have to tell your story on why you was there, and hold that carrot of time over your head, I felt like the risk that I was taking by saying I didn't have drugs on me was going to get me kicked out of there.
Right, because they're going to say you're bullshitting.
They're going to tell me I'm full of shit. You got to go back and do that time. I kept my story the same. And I took that risk because y'all wasn't going to convince me that I had drugs when I know I didn't.
I'm going to be honest with you. I would have said, I didn't have drugs, but for all the times I did.
There you go. And that's
for all the times.
Julie, check this out. So check this out, Julie. That's exactly what I was thinking. This is how mentally fucked up I was, because at some point, and it was even before then, I had a realization like, one, I shouldn't have been selling drugs in the first place. But for all those times that I did and didn't get caught, this is God's way of saying,
and you fucking got to go to, and you got to go to boot camp.
One way or the other, we got you.
Not everybody get to go to boot
mentally,
camp.
I was mentally fucked up and taking that ownership that it was okay for this officer to do what he did. And that just furthered my trauma.
Yeah.
It really just furthered my trauma. Like, this motherfucker really fucked my life up by putting that up on me. And I since got it taken off my record, but it's, man, so many times I had to say, I was convicted of a drug crime, when all I can remember every time, every job, every opportunity, when I think about that situation, if I got to fill out an application or for school or whatnot, I don't think about, I was convicted of a crime and then I checked that box. I remember his eyes, his face, and where I was in the back of that police car when that motherfucker walked up with that bag and said, we got you.
So I look at it a little differently. And maybe because of the IV drug usage, right? And when I went to prison, I was pissed. You took $250,000 from my bank account. I was beyond pissed. And then you tried to make me pay taxes on it, okay? And you didn't catch me with the escort service. So instead, you're going to try to make me with 5 counts of racketeering. And so I took the charge of prostitution, which I didn't get caught for, promotion of prostitution for the escort service. And because it had a 2-year sentence versus 25. So I pled guilty to a crime you didn't catch me on, but I will tell you, and it took a long time. It took me going to IOP for stress. They said, take the worst thing that happened to you and flip it. And did prison save me from not getting involved again? Was it the timeout I fucking needed? Boot camp, the structure I needed?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't tell me what to do before then. You couldn't. And I went to college at 17 and moving here from Boston, and I was so fucking lost, and I couldn't wait to get away from my mother. I could not wait. And to get so lost so quickly, good grades, playing ball, everything, and to have that switched. And when I went to the escort service, I really thought I'm going to dinner. You're taking me to the fucking ballet. For real. I tried like the first 6 months and you'd still give me the money. And then I was like, why not own the service? You don't have to go on the call. They pay you. And like entrepreneurs, you know, what we think to get there is just crazy. And I really think that we're brilliant, and sometimes you just have to put that direction in the right light.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I can't believe Summit Boot Camp. Shut the
good old Summit.
up.
Yeah, good old Summit.
I have my pictures still. I have it all.
Yeah, you got mine somewhere.
My Pathfinders.
And all that.
Yes. I have my Pathfinders certificate. And Leticia from Pathfinders said that because I graduated in October of 94, and we were one of the second class to ever go through Pathfinders. Yeah. Crazy shit.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Never my life.
This concludes part 1 of our 2-part episode with Dontae Mathis. In this first half, we've walked with Dontae through the early traumas that shaped his life, his years of incarceration, and his experience inside a correctional boot camp program. But Dontae's transformation doesn't end there. In part 2, we pick up after boot camp as he begins the real work of recovery, rebuilding his life and stepping into service and fatherhood. Tune in to the next episode of the Real Recovery Podcast to hear the rest of Dontae's powerful journey.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks to each and every one of you for lending us your ears and hearts. Your engagement is what fuels our passion and keeps this podcast thriving.
We cherish the moments we share here and hope they resonate with you, whether you're on a daily commute, at the gym, or just taking a moment for yourself.
Make sure to head over to our website at realrecoverypodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter for the latest insights and uplifting stories from our community delivered straight to your inbox.
Click that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player too, so you can keep up with every new episode. It's your support that keeps our conversation alive and meaningful.
And if our stories have touched you, consider using the donate button on our site. Your contributions, no matter the size, are deeply appreciated. They help us continue our mission of sharing hope and healing.
Join us beyond the podcast and follow our journey on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. All the links are on our site, so you can stay connected and be a part of the Real Recovery community every day.
Your likes, shares, and comments not only spread the message of recovery, but also remind us that we're all in this together.
So until we meet again, remember that recovery is a journey, not a destination, and we'll be here to accompany you every step of the way to recovery, real recovery.
Thanks for listening.